So several years ago, probably like 8 or 9 at this point, I really got into painting my nails. I just found it to be a very relaxing kind of self-care little thing to do. And I discovered as I got further into it that there were people out there who were making their own like indie nail polish. And it was really cool stuff that was unlike anything that you could get in the store. So I got really into buying indie nail polish from all these, little independent makers. And then I started to wonder, well, I kind of need an artistic outlet. I wonder if I could do this myself. So I started to explore and test and figure out the ins and outs. And it turned out that like the stuff I was coming up with was pretty cool. At least I thought it was. And I was like, well, I wonder if other people will think that this is pretty cool. So I did a lot of research and started to work towards opening up a shop. Probably took me about 8 months to a year from when I decided to open up a shop to when I actually opened up the shop. And I realized it was going to be more of a hobby and not just well, let's see if other people are into this, but could be like, have some legs to it. When I opened up my shop, and I think I had about 400 bottles in stock. So not a ton, but definitely not nothing. I sold out the entire stock within 10 minutes. And
Okay.
I just remember sitting there, and at the time I was using Etsy. It was probably the most popular platform to use at the time. Just hitting refresh and seeing the numbers of my stock deplete and the sold out button popping up one after another. And just that feeling of like, oh my gosh, I have something here. As soon as I sold out, I started getting emails or messages into my Etsy account at the time. And they were like, I missed out. Oh, it's already sold out. Or have you opened up the shop yet? I'm not seeing anything available. Like I probably got like 24 emails within like the first 30 minutes of like, do you have a mailing list? I did not have a mailing list. I honestly had never even considered email marketing or that was something I was going to need to do. So just realizing like they were asking me to provide them information because they were really interested and I had no way to provide them that information that they could reliably see.
You brought up the point there, like what tools could you have used to kind of save time or thought about, or even like you said, having a mailing list at the time of launch. So I just want to get back to that first piece of software that you incorporated into Scofflaw. Was it an email marketing tool?
Yes, I used Mailchimp.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And how did you, obviously people had asked you if you had a mailing list. So that kind of seems like that's where the idea came from, but how did you eventually decide upon using Mailchimp?
Well, honestly, simply because I'd heard of it. I didn't even explore other options at the time. I kind of reached out because there were Facebook groups for other nail polish makers. And I was like, so what, email marketing software do you guys use? And, Mailchimp kept on popping up. And social proof is huge.
Right.
People are way more likely to purchase something because someone they know has recommended it than they are just because they see like an advertisement. So it was purely just that social, thumbs up from other small business owners. And I was like, okay, I guess Mailchimp it is. Here we go.
Okay, so are you evaluating then each of these different e-commerce platforms? You just mentioned a bunch of different things like coding, ease of use, all of these different processes. Did you have like a sheet that you were sort of evaluating them all from, or just kind of keeping them straight in your head? How did that process look?
Well, I first of all read a bunch of reviews online,
Right.
like which are the best. I leaned into social proof again. And I kind of did narrow it down to Shopify and Big Cartel, which is why those are the two that popped to the top of my mind. And I trialed both of them.
Okay.
And that's ultimately what made my decision. I trialed them and Shopify was the one that just, I was like, this is it. This is the one that solves my needs. I'll be able to do more with less time, because I also, not just then, not just now, but also then, I had a 9 to 5 career. I still have a 9 to 5 career. The time that I can dedicate to Scofflaw is only so much. So, and Shopify made it really easy. At one point, yeah, all in one did make sense. But the thing is, as I learned, to my detriment there for, a couple of years, is customers' expectations really are changing. Even now more than ever, with the way, with COVID-19 and, how online shopping has become, where it's not enough to just, have your little store, have your little mailing list, and they all kind of live independently of each other. No, customers expect you to meet them where they are online, and they expect you to understand things about them. They want you to be able to be just as savvy as they are digitally, which can be really hard. But the all-in-one doesn't let you do that.
Right.
That's why being able to use like the tool that's like best at what it does is, so important. And especially like as I move forward and I continue to pivot my business, I won't be looking at like, okay, what is going to kind of maybe sort of handle all these things. It's going to be understanding, this is where my customers live online. This is how they shop now. This is what they care about now. Here are the best tools to reach them, to engage with them, to meet their needs. And then it's like, how do I connect them together so that when I'm doing my email marketing, I have that information from these other integrations, these, the channels that they're on, that I can then email them, and it's not just this all-in-one email blast or even just basic segmentation. It's like, no, this customer prefers this kind of content, and they want to get it generally, apparently, at 8 a.m. in the morning.
Yeah.
And I know because of what they've done over here that this is the favorite kind of product of mine that they're interested in. So I'm going to make sure that that's highlighted in the email that they get. And that's just like one use case, but that's huge. Right. That's what's going to that's what resonates with customers today. Is are you bringing them the things that they care about, or are you making them do all the legwork, to even try to find the information they want from you? Because if they have to, there's going to be like a countless other businesses out there that will make it easier for them.
Right. So you don't want to sacrifice their experience for your convenience, basically.
That is a great way to put it.
Oh, thank you. That wasn't bad.
Without a doubt. And, something I didn't realize too in my early days was, customer experience doesn't end the moment you make a sale. You make the sale, boom, you're done, on to the next. Because what's really going to grow your business, what's really going to give you the staying power, are not just repeat customers, but loyal customers. When you create like those loyal customers, when you create that like amazing experience for customers, from the first time they come across you, through the sale, past that, where you're thanking them, you're providing them more, engaging, relevant content, you're keeping them in the loop, you're making them feel, that they are truly part of, your brand, your business.
Right.
That pays amazing dividends, because then they're doing a lot of work for you. They're telling their friends about you. They're bringing more customers into, your sphere. And, that's invaluable. That loyalty where you ultimately want to get to, the customer advocates, you cannot do that unless you have that amazing customer experience provided from start to finish. And when you do, it it just makes everything run so much smoother, and your customers are just so much happier, and you get a lot less emails asking you, well, why aren't you doing this? Why aren't you doing that? Can you
Right.
do this? Can you do that? Because you're already understanding their needs. You're already connected.
Could you tell me about an automation that you're currently using in ActiveCampaign? And you don't have to give away your secret sauce for sure, but I would love to hear about an automation that you're using to solve for a use case, sort of like something that you maybe just outlined. What's really working for you?
Well, one of the automations that has been huge for me since I've moved over to ActiveCampaign is the abandoned carts
Mm,
automation. And going back to the blog, I for a long time never had an abandoned cart automation. And for those who don't know, an abandoned cart automation, it basically sends a reminder to someone that leaves something in their shopping cart. They click, they put the shopping cart, the dog needs to go out, they forget about your product, and you never hear from them again. And I remember reading in the blog, like, abandoned, automated abandoned shopping carts emails, it can like recover like up to 10% of your revenue. 10% of those abandoned carts can be recovered. And
mm.
I'm like, get out of here. Come on. I'll give it a try. And actually, everybody's experience is completely different. So don't use mine as like, the water line, but I actually recover over 10% of my abandoned carts. So yes, love that abandoned cart automation.
And that's through the Shopify integration, right? They leave something in the Shopify store and that triggers the email
Mhm.
to go out from ActiveCampaign.
Yep. Mhm.
Perfect. Okay. Along the same lines, what is next for you in terms of automation? Do you have something that you're sort of trying to solve for? Is there an automation that you would like to incorporate that maybe you just haven't gotten around to yet, or what's sort of what's on the wish list?
Yeah, well, as I become, a more sophisticated user of automations, and, ActiveCampaign does make it really easy because we have this amazing marketplace that's full of recipes. So I can automate things I didn't really even think of. Um, I've kind of moved beyond, those first initial automations, certainly. And one thing to bring up really quickly is, uh, all these automations I've put into place, whether it's abandoned cart or follow-up emails or drip campaigns, I spend a lot less time on my marketing now. Yet, since starting ActiveCampaign, these have been my most successful years running Scofflaw, like my highest revenue.
Well,
So
congratulations on that. That's,
thank you.
I mean, like you said, sell more with less.
Exactly.
That's the dream right there.
So, now I do have a bit more time to focus instead of just doing the basics. Now that I have a little bit more time back that I can like dig in deeper, the sort of automations that I'm looking for and wanting to, be able to do more with are being able to more easily segment off of like Shopify data.
Mm,
Like I want to be able to look at, purchase states or purchase amount, going back to like how engaged are they? Are these like are these customers that used to be really engaged and suddenly there's a drop off where they never really engaged? Or are these like my top customers, my most loyal? And being able to like, create even more personalized, hyper segmentation, we'll say, where it's not just a segment, it's a one-to-one segmentation personal experience. So I want to just be able to kind of dive in deeper and make that experience even more tailored based
yeah.
on how they're acting in my Shopify store.
If you had to give a piece of advice to a new business owner or an existing business owner that's evaluating, a piece of marketing software, what is the one thing that you would tell them to keep in mind?
Before you choose your software,
Hmm.
you have to take the time to understand your customers. You have to know where they are, how they prefer to get their information, and what they care about, because that's going to give you the knowledge that you need when selecting a platform. You know, you'll know, like, I need to be able to do X, Y, and Z. I am going to need to use, this application, this integration, this is the tech stack that I want to create.
Hmm.
And that way, when you're like looking at these different, platform providers, you can really quickly be like, okay, yes, they can do this one thing for me, but there's 5 things that I really need that they're not going to do all that great.
Right.
Um, Ultimately, you're not looking for the ultimate holy grail solution that's going to solve everything for you, because that does not exist. It doesn't exist much elsewhere in life, so
Right.
it doesn't exist in your software either. So you're going to want something that's going to let you use the tools that you already value.
Yep.
And you're going, like I said, you're going to know the tools that are going to be the most valuable to you by knowing which tools let you connect best with your customers. And connecting best with your customers means taking the time to understand them.
Well, that I can't think of a better way to end this thing than that. So, Finch, been an absolute pleasure talking with you. Good to see you as always, even though we don't get to see each other in the office anymore. Hopefully that will change soon. But again, thank you for your time. Thank you for sharing your story. This has been great.
Well, thank you again, and I'll talk to you later.